Super Cool Radio!
Hey everyone, before we jump into the show, I want to tell you about our merch store on Threadless. Shop a wide variety of logos with multiple colors and sizes available for each design. Your support is greatly appreciated and helps us continue to make killer content like this episode. Please visit supercoolradio.threadless.com or the link in the description to shop now. Hello everyone! I am Matthew Thomas. This is Super Cool Radio. Have some great guests joining me for this episode. Recently, they released a new EP entitled Perfect Disaster. Please welcome a killer four-piece rock band from Detroit City. They are Letters From Abel.
Thank you so much, man. Always a great time to come back on here. Super lucky to be back with you again.
Of course. And making up Letters From Abel, joining me at this time, full band interview, we got Justin on vocals and rhythm guitar, Drake on lead guitar, Ben on bass, and Kade on drums. Thank you guys so much.
Of course, it's our pleasure.
And so I gotta, it's been a little bit. I did the first interview with only Justin. That was about, again, close to almost a year at this point. So we got a lot of great things to discuss. But before we get into all that, a new question for this season. What has been the best concert you've ever been to or performed at?
Ooh, all right. I think that's a pretty good question. I think for me, probably one of the best shows I saw was Motorhead and Anthrax at the Fillmore in Detroit. It was Motorhead's last tour. That was really awesome to be able to see. The favorite show that I've ever probably played in was either probably the student showcase that we played in for our first show, which was like a sold out show to 300 people, or probably the night that we played in Ann Arbor and we got like the whole place packed out of walk-ins, and it was the night that we played our first encore.
Very awesome all around. I actually saw Anthrax this year for the first time. They are amazing.
They're fantastic live.
All right, so what about for you guys?
Ben?
Best show I've ever been to. Well, actually, we just saw Alice in Chains not that long ago, a couple months ago, and that was a really good show. I know, Justin, you've seen them a couple times now, but that was my first time. Drake, was that your first time? Yeah. That was, for me and Drake, that was our first time seeing Alice in Chains live, and that was really cool. I really enjoyed that concert. Favorite show I've ever played would probably have to be, again, in Ann Arbor, Blind Pig. That was a special night indeed. Other than that, one show that always comes back to mind is that I don't remember the exact date, but it was that one show. You guys will know just from saying it, that one show at the Token.
Oh yeah,
that one show. Can't say the date, but
it was beautiful though. It was very beautiful.
It was a good night.
It was fantastic. What about you two boys?
Probably my favorite show that I've ever been to. I'm gonna say recent favorite because I can't. It's really hard for me to pick, but this is definitely stepping outside of the usual grunge wheelhouse. But it's this guy called Robert Cray. He's this old blues guy, and he's playing out at the theater in Kalamazoo. And it was probably like the tightest performance I've seen in like the last like 2 to 3 years. Like his whole band was just absolutely killing it, and they were just, I don't know, the groove was there, and it made me very happy. Then my favorite performance, I really liked the night we played at the Aretha Franklin Cafe. We did like an acoustic set, and it was just a really good night. And then Justin closed out with Was
Where
it
Did You Sleep Last Night by Nirvana. I did it solo, so that was a lot of fun.
his performance of it made me shed a little man tear, so it was that good. But yeah.
Kade?
I haven't seen a lot of shows lately. I think my favorite one most recently would probably be a drum teacher of mine that I saw, Nate Wynn, played at Cliff Bell's. He's a jazz drummer. It was just probably the best jazz drumming I've ever seen in person. So there's that. And then my favorite show that we played would probably be the one that we played all the way up in Sault Ste. Marie, because it was our first show with Drake, and it was just our show that was the farthest from where we were at.
This is true.
So
This is very true. It was also his homecoming because that's where he's from. So
Nice. All very good performances by you guys, and also great shows. I do like the Robert Cray mention because I'm a huge blues fan, so that would probably been a really awesome show to see.
It was so good.
But all right, so for you guys, so getting into Letters From Abel now, obviously, so last month you guys released a new EP entitled Perfect Disaster. How was it writing and recording the new EP?
it was a bunch of fun. I mean, this is something that really came out of nowhere for us. You know, we have an album plan that's going to be coming out here within the next couple months, full length LP, and that's something that we're really looking forward to, and something that we had planned for a long time. But this EP kind of came out of nowhere. We were doing a performance down at the Russell Center for a guy by the name of Tony Green, who's a legendary bass player. And while we were there, there was another young lady there performing by the name of Izzy Savides. And she is managed and works with our producer, Steve Kapp, who did Perfect Disaster. And he met us there and was like, you know, you guys are phenomenal. You know, I'd love for you guys to come down to 54 Sound. And 54 Sound, for people who don't know and for context, the 54 Sound we recorded at Studio B is where Eminem recorded the 8 Mile soundtrack. So there's a lot of legendary thing. I mean, you know, George Clinton and P-Funk and Funkadelic worked down there a lot. You know, there's a lot of legendary names that came through that studio. And so it was a really, really cool thing to be able to, you know, go in there and kind of participate along with some of that history.
It definitely sounds like, especially working with, you know, that kind of caliber of studio, sounds like a really awesome experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was something that you really can't take for granted. You know, I mean, every day that we were walking through there, you know, it really felt like we were, you know, a part of something a little bit larger than life, for sure.
So for Perfect Disaster, was this a different recording experience compared to the previous EP?
Yeah, absolutely. When we went to record In Your House, those are songs that we've been sitting on for a while. We just kind of hammered those in nonstop because we knew that was going to be the record. We did jump back a couple times between, like, are we going to have 5 songs or 6 songs or 4 songs or whatever? It ended up being 6. And so I feel like that was just a lot more streamlined. We really knew what we were doing there. And then when it came to Perfect Disaster, that it seemed kind of more of a last minute thing, where we just had these songs and we knew that we wanted to record them, but we didn't know really when, until Steve came to us and said, hey, let's record something. And we're like, well, we have enough songs for an EP, so let's just record an EP. And so, you know, going into studio or 54 Sound, you know, new studio, new producer, you know, new songs. It was a lot different for us. And you would think there'd be kind of a adjustment period, which there was. We had to adjust to the environment and to recording these songs. Some of them are a bit complicated to just run through and get them right. You know, we had to do them a few times. But I feel like after we recorded the first 2 or 3, the kind of nerves calmed down a little bit, and we were able to knock it out. And what you hear is what you get.
Yeah, I've definitely it is to me it's a little bit of a different EP, like listening to it compared to In Your House. I think it's a little bit more tighter, and you guys are definitely evolving a little bit with you guys' sound as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is something that we just got interviewed last week, and Ben made a great point of a lot of these songs are something that you wouldn't have heard in your house. You know, it's definitely an evolution in sound for sure, and taking in, you know, some funk influences and some blues influences and some other things, and really kind of adding some more colors to our palette and kind of broadening our brushstrokes, and you know, letting us kind of have a little bit more freedom with the art. And I think that Steve was also a huge proprietor in that as well. You know, really wanting us to, you know, throw down whatever we wanted to on the record, and you know, was super open to all of our ideas and stuff. It was really a special thing to be able to work on this record for sure.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it, and you know, like you said, with a little bit of the funk influence and stuff, I would say like In Your House is definitely more. It's more straightforward rock with some grunge elements, you know, that kind of stuff. But with Perfect Disaster, you guys are definitely branching out into other genres, and I'm here for that. I really like that.
Yeah, we're glad to hear. A lot of people we've had some really good reception over the songs that have been a little bit more open, especially you know, Perfect Disaster, the single itself, you know, got some really good right back and some feedback from a lot of great people. So it's been nice to see a lot of people accepting the new direction that we're heading in.
Well, and I definitely look forward to seeing where you guys like progress with your stuff. I think you guys have a very solid base. You guys are based with basis. There we go for your band with everybody and all your players and stuff. You guys are a very tight band.
But thank you very much. It's something that we definitely we've tried for a long time, and I knew that, you know, I mean, I think that it stems from our just our outside relationship. You know, I mean, these four guys, and you know, I mean, I met Kade first, and I mean, you know, I knew as soon as I had met him, you know, that regardless of however good of a drummer he was, that this was going to be my guy just because of how close we were. And you know, it's a tight knit thing. It's a family that we all try to work for, and you know, something that we really strive to be as tight as we can and as close as we can. Not only, you know, when we get on the record, but you know, once we get off the stage as well.
Oh, for sure. And now it's actually a really good segue because I did want to talk about you guys' live set for just a little bit as well. I had the opportunity to see you guys last year in Mishawaka, you know, about a year and a half ago at this point. You guys sounded really good live. Like you guys, it's like rock and roll. It was really good, and I really enjoyed meeting you guys and seeing you guys.
Thank you very much. I mean, you know, we love being able to come down to Indiana whenever we can, and it was definitely a great opportunity to be able to actually meet you face to face and stuff. A lot taller than most people would think, you know, big guy. A lot of people wouldn't think that, but it was great, you know. And I mean, we greatly appreciate the you know, the kind words and stuff, and we always like to come out and try to play a great show to, you know, whoever's going to be there.
Yeah, definitely. You're not the way person to talk about my height. You know, usually people again see me this much, but yeah, because you obviously a close fan of you guys, a wisher. I
Yes.
met Kaylee about a year ago, and she's like, "Wow, you're so much taller in person." I go, "Yeah, I get that a lot. I know. Thank you." But for you guys, you know, I was really digging your guys' set. So how about for you guys? How do you prepare for a show?
I mean, it's many different things for sure. I mean, if you know, personally, I mean, obviously, you know, we all kind of dig in and put something together for the set. You know, everybody, you know, kind of comes together and we make sure that, you know, it's all the songs that we want to play and stuff. But now, considering the fact that you know, we have a lot more to choose from than we originally had. You know, I mean, we don't really play covers anymore, obviously, because, you know, we've been able to kind of branch away from that, and people like our original music enough to where we can go out and, you know, play our own songs and people enjoy it, which is great. You know, I mean, that's obviously where you want to get. So it's been nice to be able to have not only, you know, In Your House, Perfect Disaster, but now with Servants of Sound, our full-length album, coming to fruition sooner rather than later. You know, we've been able to start playing some of those songs out and stuff, and it gives us a really broad range to be able to choose from. So, I mean, really just the whole process is, you know, just really making sure that we got the best set list that we feel like we can get for the show, you know, depending on the crowd and the bands that we're playing with. And then on top of that, just kind of practicing those songs as many times as we can to, you know, like you mentioned, you know, bring that tightness to the stage, bring that energy, and make sure that, you know, we're giving the people as much as they can whenever they buy an LFA ticket.
Oh, definitely for sure. And you guys definitely delivered. I know obviously the crowd was not so big when I saw you guys, you know, because it was kind of just me. But you guys still performed at 100%. You brought a lot of energy to the stage, and you guys sound very clean and very tight knit as a group.
So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
So now, a cool question for you guys: what is your favorite song to perform live?
Ooh. Man, for me, I feel like it's probably either gotta be Sicker Than a Dog, Ballad of Johnny Rocket, or maybe one of our new songs, which is gonna be like one of the lead singles off of Servants of Sound, a song called Demon Eyes.
I really like playing Sicker Than a Dog is a big one for me. That one's always just high energy. But I also really like playing Bad Habits whenever we end up playing, which is one of the songs off of Perfect Disaster. That one's just a hard hitting heavy banger. I just like that one a lot. It's also like super high energy and just gets me going. So
Yeah, I mean, my favorite's probably Sicker Than a Dog as well, and then the other one that I really love to play is an unreleased one. It's called it's gonna be on the full length record. It's called Brown.
Oh yeah.
It's just so good. It's classic LFA. I love it.
Okay.
I'd say besides Sicker, because of the energy, I really do like playing that song live. But a song that I'm really excited to play more often live from our new album, Servants of Sound, that we called Melancholic. It's a really, really like high energy, punch you in the face kind of song. It's really fun.
I like all the answers. I definitely look forward to listening to the new album. I do got a few questions about that. Before I get to that, I want to cover one more thing about you guys' live show and live performance. So obviously, you guys have performed in Michigan, Indiana, quite a few different venues. Is there any like dream venues that you want to perform at that you have not yet?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right off the bat for me, I mean, like the Fillmore has always been a goal for me. I mean, like, that would just be such a legendary stage to stand upon and to really, be able to look down at the crowd off that stage. But another one would probably be Harpo's. Harpo's would be really cool as well. Harpo's reopened recently, and that would be a really cool place to be able to play. So, I mean, yeah, I'd probably say for me, it's probably either the Fillmore or Harpo's. You boys?
Troubadour.
The Troubadour. That's also fantastic. Yeah, the Troubadour is not a bad answer. Kade?
I mean, I was going to say the Fillmore. That's kind of just been on our sites
for a long time. Drake?
I think one of the first concerts I ever saw was at the Fox Theater.
Ooh.
And so I'd love to pack that place.
Yeah. What about Denny's?
Denny's.
I'd like to do our own Denny's Grand Slam one day.
Definitely make this work.
I honestly, I think you could definitely do that. Now, the Denny's by me like closed down like 10 years ago, so I don't even have one anymore.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure most of them did.
Well, you got to find one still in existence and do that then.
Yeah, we got to go down to a Denny's venue and crack it open.
I think I might know one.
Okay, all right.
Well, I hope you guys get to perform at all those venues, including Denny's. Please someone make the Denny's venue happen, please.
We're waiting on it. We're waiting.
All right, so you've been talking about your upcoming album. You've been talking about that, dropping some hints about that. So can you expand on that a little bit more and kind of what can people expect from this album? Yeah,
I mean, we can expand upon it as much as we like, thankfully. I mean, it's definitely something new for sure. I mean, it's a new area for us. It's something that you kind of, you have those songs that it's like, this is something that's like classic Letters From Abel, and then you have stuff that it's just like, this is something that like we just haven't touched upon at all. I mean, just a really, really nice mix between punk and grunge and rock and blues and funk. I mean, there's really a lot that goes into this, and I think that Kade made a really good point about it the other day when we were getting interviewed, that it's very emotional. These songs were written through breakups and hardships and tough things going through life, and these are songs that are direct inputs and of those things, and you can really tell. I mean, there's some really heavy subject matter on some of these songs, and we put our heart and soul into it, and it's a record that we're really working hard on. So it's something that we've definitely kind of put our heart and soul into over the past year and a half of just really cranking it out, writing the songs, and then hopping into the studio and just making it as best as we can.
You covered a lot with that. I'm definitely, I'm really looking forward to. You got me excited to listen to the new album, because I like that you guys have. It's going to be a nice blend of like your classic sound that you guys have, like the more rock and roll sound, but also you're going to throw in like some blues, some funk, some different style of elements that's going to be completely different for you guys. I think that's going to be really cool, and I'm definitely excited for it.
Yeah, I think that it's going to come out and surprise a lot of people. There's a lot of bands that are still waiting on, being able to release their records, and we're kind of thankful enough that we can be in a position that, this record's been moving forward at a good enough pace to where, we're going to be able to release it within hopefully the next 3 to 4 months. And we're really excited for that. I mean, the singles that we're going to be dropping off this record is these songs that we're making are really something that we feel like this is some of the best work that we've ever made, and I think that it's only going to keep getting better moving forward.
Well, I definitely hope so, and I look forward to the new album. Now, for you guys, I know you're still in the process of working on the album, but I've talked to a few bands who've released albums, and they said the biggest thing is making sure the track list flows. So, like, how important is it to have a good track list that it flows, the song flows into the next song, into the next song?
I think that it's super important, especially in the day of, the vinyl rebirth and the physical media rebirth like we're having today. It's especially important to be able to, if you want to make CDs or cassettes or vinyls out of your records, it's always good to have that good turnover. You don't want anything to be, too cut and dry, or to feel like, it's really like a harsh turnover. So it's something that we've really been, working on over the past 3 or 4 months since we've gotten some of these mixes back, kind of moving the songs around and seeing how they flow into each other and stuff like that. And it's something that, I've made sure at least that I've been putting a decent amount of effort into, really trying to make sure that everything flows into itself really nice.
Definitely, it's definitely very important to have, that flow for that. It doesn't, because in the age where, it's Spotify singles and stuff, you have to have a good flow to keep the listener's attention, especially if it's really good for the whole album.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very small attention span.
For me, like I've always really liked like concept albums such as like 2112 by Rush, or the Ziggy Stardust album from David Bowie, where those songs kind of are meant in a way to tell us a certain story, and they're the tracks are put in that order for a reason. And I wouldn't say that's something that we like kind of think about. Like, we don't think about like, oh, this needs to tell a certain story or whatever, but it's definitely something that's considered. We're like, okay, we want all these songs to not only mesh well together on their own, but when you actually start the album and finish it, from top to bottom, what does it tell a story? Is there a story there that can kind of be contrived when you're listening to it, and kind of be like, okay, this kind of takes you on a little bit of a journey in a way. So I think it's always important to consider that aspect of it as well.
Definitely. I know you guys, yeah, I know it's not gonna be like a complete like concept album, but it's something very important to consider, is like the album as a whole and how that's gonna flow and stuff. I'm a huge fan of Alice Cooper, so I totally get like, the kind of like Welcome to My Nightmare, that kind of concept albums takes a lot of effort to put in, to tell the whole story completely, but you still need that similar mindset, even if you're just doing more of, kind of what you guys are doing, which is more just music, but not completely telling a story, if that makes any sense. I might be rambling, I'm not sure. Anyway,
it definitely makes sense. It definitely makes sense.
Yeah, like just for it to be less of just like a collection of songs and an actual like whole piece of art,
Yes, that was way better than what I said. Now, for you guys, do you mentally approach? Is it mentally different for you guys to perform live compared to recording in a studio?
Similar but different, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the essence of, like something that I really liked kind of like drew attention to early in my musical career was the fact that like I'm a huge Kiss fan. It was like the reason that I started playing music. And they early in their career, you know, like through the first like 3 or 4 records, nobody really gave a shit about what Kiss was doing until they put out a live and they realized like, oh my God, these guys put on a tremendous live show and they sound terrific. You know what I mean? And that's how all those songs ended up getting so big. And I think that one thing that I always stress when we're trying to go into the studio, and something that we all kind of stress, is that it's like you want to keep that energy up. You know what I mean? Like I want, you know, basically whatever vocal performance I'm laying down, you know, that's going to be the same thing you're going to be hearing live. You know, that's something that I've really tried to be super permanent about, you know, is that, you know, like we don't use any effects on our vocals. We don't, you know, we don't use any auto tune. We don't do anything like that. It's completely raw. They're raw takes. They're only double stacked. And so it's, you know, it's something to where, you know, my vocals, his vocals, and all of our instruments are all, you know, a very, very raw recording. And, you know, that we try to keep it as live as we possibly can, but, you know, with that studio smoothness, you know, that professional sound that really will bring it all together.
I think that what we go and lay down in the studio is almost kind of a blueprint of what we're going to go play on the stage. Not every time we play the song live is it going to be the exact same as the recording, and so having that recording kind of lends benefit to us being able to say, all right, well, we can do whatever we want with it. We can jam on the outro if we want to. We can add another guitar solo. We can take a guitar solo out. Screw you, Drake. So that we have we know what we're doing when we go in the studio. We know how we want that to sound, but since we have the song that way, we know we can do whatever we want when we go to play it live. We can change it up. We can speed it up, slow it down, you know, change up the energy a little bit. So that's just the difference for me in when we record the songs and when we play them live. They're just different in that aspect.
Definitely, and for sure. And what I was gonna say was that what I really liked about like seeing you guys live is that, you know, pretty obviously you can change the songs a little bit, and you guys do when you perform live. But for the most part, you guys like what you guys like sound like in the studio. You guys sound on the stage as well, and I was very impressed by that.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we go for sure. I mean, you know, like it's a big thing, you know. I mean, you know, I don't ever want anybody to, you know, listen to our records and then come to our show and be like, oh man, those guys sounded like shit. You know what I mean? Like I want them to leave and be like, man, that sounded literally like just like what I listen to every day. So I mean, yeah, if I can have anybody going home saying that, then I'm happy with what we're doing.
I think part of that kind of lends credit to like our writing process too, because every time we write our tunes, it's literally us like coming to rehearsal every week and being like, okay, let's play that again and see how I feel about it. You know what I mean? So it's like when we go to record in the studio, we basically already played these songs together, you know, like 20 or 30 times, you know. So I think that kind of leads to us having that live tightness because, like, you know, we've already done it a bunch of times. But
that it does make a lot of sense for you guys. Obviously, you guys rehearse a lot, you perform a lot of shows, so you know to be that level of to be that tight and then go into the studio and record is actually very beneficial as well, because you're already tight, you already know the songs, and you can just lay it down. But also that's why you guys sound so good live as well. So I definitely really appreciate chatting with you guys. I do got just a few more things I do want to cover. So this is one of the newer questions since I've had Justin on back in season 2. This is going to be a tough question. I would just tell you guys right away. Okay. What has been your most favorite moment from your musical career so far?
I mean, if I want to get broad, I mean, like, there's a lot of little moments that I could pick and choose over the course of, you know, the 3 years or so that we've been a band. You know, I mean, there's a lot of little moments. Meeting Pete, our producer for In Your House, meeting Steve, our producer for Perfect Disaster, getting to meet all these people, getting to go across state lines and travel and meet people like you, and, you know, really be able to make a lot of special connections is something that I don't think I'll ever take for granted. But if I'm talking about the biggest moment of my musical career so far, it's going to Diamond, meeting these 4 next to me right here. Because I mean, I say it all the time that I mean, we are 4 kids from 4 different parts of Michigan that are all in different age groups that all decided to go to one school in Detroit the year before it closed down. You know what I mean? It's something that I've always said, this band was meant to be thing. And, this is something that we were all just supposed to come together and find. And so, I mean, for me, it has to be when we all met and formed this band. I mean, I wouldn't have a musical career without that.
I'd say for me, that big moment where I kind of realized, like, oh, this is it, we're doing this. It's probably that first time when we recorded in your house. I'll never forget that entire 1-2 day block period.
Yeah.
Just we were inside the church where we were recording, and we're all standing on stage. We got our headphones on, our instruments are plugged in, and we were all just kind of looking at each other, getting ready to start recording. And that's like in my memory where it like hit me, like, hey, we're here, we're doing this, we're making a record, we're a band. So that'd probably be it for me.
My highlight of my musical career so far was my first rehearsal with these guys. Honestly, I remember, like, I don't know, I really hung out with Ben a lot more than I hung out with like Kade and Justin. We were still friends, but like I as soon as I heard like Ben's bass playing, I was like, you're mine. I was like, well, it was funny too, because I told him earlier on, I was like, by the time we get out of the school, I want to have a professional band with you, and we're going to make that our living. And then, lo and behold, it closes down the next year, and it's like, all right, that came a little sooner than I wanted it to, but all right. And then I remember sitting there in my old apartment, and I got a call from Justin, and I was like, why would Justin be calling me? He was like, well, I know you're really busy, but if you want to come, jam with us. And I was like, yeah. So yeah, just that first rehearsal, it was like I don't know, I've never had a feeling like that with literally any other band that I've jammed with. It's like as soon as I hit the first note, like literally everything just clicked in, and it was like, oh yeah, like this is what home feels like.
I mean, for me, my favorite moment in my music career is just this band in general. Like, I've played with like a lot of groups in the past and stuff like that, but this is like just been the one. I don't know, it's just something different. It's like when we play music, it's like magic. That's the only way I can describe it. It's like a whole nother world that all 4 of us just kind of go into. So I can't even really think of like one moment with these guys that I really feel like was it, but just every show we play is like the next best moment, and the longer it is, the better it gets.
I like how you summed that up, Kade. That was really good. I like that. Yeah. So last thing before we wrap up, talk about your final for your future plans. So Justin, I talked to you about the Detroit music scene last year, but now since the pandemic kind of wind down a little bit, stuff's opened up, playing more shows. What's the Detroit music scene like for you guys?
The Detroit music scene's a special spot. I mean, it's home base for us. I mean, the land's kind of changed. We're working with some different people than we used to be working with. But I think that the people that we work with now are truly those people that are good friends of ours and people that we can really trust and put our full trust into. Guys like Catharsis, 10,000 Teeth, Cyodyne, Wisher. These are some really, really talented cats that we're really lucky to be able to share the stage with. But something that we're really excited about being able to do is actually in November for a week. We will be partaking in leaving the Detroit music scene and heading out to New York City. And we will be playing out in New York City from the week of November 17th, following that weekend as well. And that's something that we're really excited to be able to do, is go out there and kind of lay down the law of the land out there and see how things are going out there. And that's something that we've been trying to do for a while. So it's something that we're happy to see come into fruition. But in Detroit, things are going great. Detroit's a metal town, though. Detroit's a metal town, and that's why we definitely are trying to expand our boundaries a little bit. There's a lot of talented metal around, and there's a couple of good alternative groups that are really really making some noise. I just went and saw Voss last night down at the Shelter, and they put on a really really great show. And that's not the first time I've seen those guys. Those guys are really really talented, but I definitely think that it being a metal town, I think that it's good for us to kind of spread around and move our niche a little bit and see where we can kind of stick around a little bit.
Definitely, for sure. I saw Voss, I want to say about a year or two ago. They can lay down a great show. I was very impressed with them.
Yeah, super super talented group cats right there.
For sure. And they could really jam too. I think they busted out an Iggy and the Stooges cover too, and I got much respect for that.
Good shit. And can't say no to that.
Exactly. So I know you touched on a little bit. You guys, obviously, you guys be going to New York. So, what's the future plans for Letters From Abel? How are you going to close out this year? And then what's 2023 shaping up to be?
So for the rest of this year, coming up this week, we got a show in Ann Arbor at the Blind Pig. October 7th, we will be out there, and that's going to be a whole boatload of fun. We got a show down at the 22nd of October down in Hamtramck at Trixie's. And then in November, we're playing a show at the Diesel, November 4th with Catharsis and 10,000 Teeth. And we're looking forward to that. That's going to be a whole lot of fun. But other than that, we got a few other shows that are in the works other than the New York shows that we'll be out there playing out in November, which we're super excited for, like I said. But, we're just looking to book some more shows and, to really work hard as we can to promote not only Perfect Disaster, but the release of Servants of Sound when the full-length album does end up coming out, or at least when we start releasing the singles first. So that's really the plan, is just to keep on promoting and to keep on working. Once Servants of Sound is done, it's not going to be too much longer until we're getting back in the studio again to make another record. So you're never going to stop hearing from us. We're always going to stay busy.
Well, definitely. I look forward to seeing everything you guys have in the works, and definitely I'll leave some links in the description for Letters From Abel. Make sure to check out the latest EP, Perfect Disaster, out right now. Make sure to give it a listen. And I'll leave you guys social media tags in there as well. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Always a great time chatting with you guys.
Thank you guys. So thank you so much, man. It's always fun to sit down and talk with you, man. It's always a great pleasure to be on the Super Cool Radio airwaves.
Of course, of course. And for Justin, Drake, Ben, and Kade of Letters From Abel, I'm your host as always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Super Cool Radio. And remember, stay frosty.